Hi everyone, this is Andrea Chandler, and today I'll be doing a presentation on constructivism for Education 307. What is constructivism? Well, constructivism is a theory of how people learn, which was founded on scientific study and observation. Personal experiences and reflection are how knowledge is obtained by the learner. In order to create our own knowledge, we must ask questions, explore, and assess the information we know. Who founded constructivism? Jean Piaget thought that people learn by constructing one logical formation at a time, while also believing that children and adults possess totally different manners of thinking than one another. His conclusions and applications of this theory is why he's considered one of the founding fathers of constructivism. John Dewey suggested education must be based in real experiences where inquiry is key. He wrote, "If you have doubts about how learning happens, engage in sustained inquiry. Study, ponder, consider alternative possibilities, and arrive at your belief grounded in evidence." How is constructivism different from traditional learning? In a constructivist classroom, the curriculum is first approached as a whole, focusing on the larger aspects, and then it is broken down into smaller digestible pieces. This is different from the traditional concept of learning small parts and then building up to a whole. Also, traditional learning tends to stick to strict framework, while constructivism allows for more freedom in asking questions and focuses more on the interest of the students. Students in the constructivist classroom are builders of their knowledge, unlike in traditional classrooms where they are expected to just receive the knowledge instead of discovering it for themselves. Students work mostly in group settings in constructivist classrooms rather than alone like in traditional classrooms. The teacher in a constructivist classroom is seen as a coach that interacts with the students while they make new discoveries. The traditional classroom teacher is seen as an authoritative figure who instead tells instead of asks, which is more like the sage on the stage instead of the guide on the side. Assessments such as student works, observations, point of view are used in constructivism as well as tests. Traditional learning just focuses on tests and correct answers. The process is just as important as the product. Next, we will discuss the PAR model and how it is related to constructivism and the aspects of the PAR model. The PAR model is based on constructivism, specifically Piaget's findings. It focuses on students being more in control of their own learning and allowing the teacher to be more of a facilitator. PAR stands for present, apply, review. In the present phase, learners establish goals and objectives in preparation for learning new materials. Then, new materials are presented and demonstrated. Afterwards, the feedback is given for the teacher and the learner. In the apply phase, learners are given an exercise where they apply the new knowledge they have just been presented. Then the teacher checks whether the learners are moving in the right direction and help anyone who may need assistance. In the review phase, what has been learned is summarized in key points and is clarified. Finally, any additional questions are asked by the learners to make sure they understand and can apply all parts of the learned material. Let's do a scenario on the constructivist classroom using the PAR model. Let's use the subject of chemical reactions. First, you would establish objectives such as, by the end of this lesson, be able to successfully demonstrate an example of how chemical reactions work. Then, present the learners with guiding questions that can be answered themselves via textbook, internet, etc. Afterwards, the learner tells the teacher any issues they had finding the correct answers, and the teachers tell the learners any advice they can help with to come to the appropriate conclusion. After learning the new materials, the teacher demonstrates how a chemical reaction works. The use of a papier-mâché volcano is used in this example by pouring vinegar into the middle of the volcano that has baking soda already inside. This results in a bubbling eruption that looks like lava and shows tangible evidence of how a chemical reaction works. Any questions the learners may have regarding the exercise is explained at the end. Finally, the whole classroom is involved in a discussion about the primary points that were learned in the lesson. If there are any remaining questions, the teacher clears those up. This concludes the presentation. I hope everyone has a better understanding of what constructivism is. And thank you. Y'all have a good day.